Hey, all you authors out there, and thanks for turning into the Book Promotion Library video help series here. We are here today talking about research for authors. Um, Now, this was a hot topic. Somebody suggested this topic because they didn't realize how much research really went into a book and how much you really need to put into your book. So, a good book needs a lot of research, and we're going to dive into that. But you might think, well, I know the subject matter. I'm good with it, and that's fine if you've studied the subject and you're doing about this. Um, but people will find inaccuracies in your book if you don't do the research. People will point them out. They are more than excited to do that. We see that with the movies that we go to see nowadays. There's all times. Every time I go on social media, there's a little thing, 15 missed things. Game of Thrones. Somebody had a water bottle on the table, things like that, and they do that with books too. They love to point those out because it's like a treasure hunt kind of. It's that mentality of, oh, I found something that's not right in your book, so I'm going to point it out and makes me the hero. Doesn't really make them the hero, but that's the way people think. So, first of all, knowing the subject matter makes you an expert, but that doesn't mean you still don't need to research. So, as you mentioned, if you know everything about the book, that's great, but and that's wonderful for nonfiction books because if you went to school, you've studied this, you are presenting your findings, your experiences. That's wonderful, but that's not in there. There's so much research that needs to go into non or to fiction books, just as much as their training and education and everything that needs to go into nonfiction books. So, and I'll get into that here as we're going. And research is more than just reading and Googling. You can't just read and Google something. You need to experience things. If you're writing, for example, if you're writing a, a, a book on war or military experience, you need to understand how guns fire, how the sound of bullets being fired sound. So maybe you need to go to a gun range and shoot a gun or two and just get that feeling. No, we don't want you to go out and be in a live battle situation. That would just be silly and dangerous. So we don't want you doing that, but we want you to have a feeling of what it feels like when that gun recoils, what it feels like, just the sound that echoes from a gunshot. Those type of things can make a huge difference in your writing process. So there needs to be some planning put in place when you're for your research for when you write a book. Figure out what kind of book you're going to be writing. What kind of things are going to happen in that as you're doing your outline, and go and experience those things before you start writing. Or if you're writing and you get to a place where it's like, I don't really know how that happens. What does this sound like? What experiences am I going to have? Maybe then you just leave, a place marker in the book that you're writing on your computer or in your notebook or whatever, and you go experience that. Take the time to go experience whatever that situation might be, so you have some actual life experience to put in it. And again, that's for fiction and nonfiction. You've got to do this research. And don't be afraid to ask experts. If it's a military book, ask somebody that was in some of those battles and see what their experience were. Listen intently to the passion in their voice and to the stories they're telling, to the life experience that they've had, and try to soak up as much as that you can. You can't soak it all up, but you can get some of that. If you're writing a book about a rock band or somebody that plays music, talk to musicians, see how it feels when they walk out on the stage. Unless you're a musician yourself, you're not going to know that feeling, so you have to tap into that from somewhere. So don't be afraid to ask those experts those type of questions and get their feeling, and just sit in their presence and in awe as they're experiencing it. And don't just write down what they're saying, but write down their emotions. See what's on their faces. See how they act to that. That can be very, very good research for your book as you're going. Next thing is use your research to make great descriptions. if you, again, we'll go back to the military example. If you're writing a military book, because I got my Penn State military shirt on here, if you're writing a military book, don't just say he picked up his gun and he shot it. Give some specifics on the gun. I'm not a big gun person, but know what kind of guns they would have had in that time period if you're writing a specific time period. Know what kind of guns they use now if you're writing modern day. Those type of things. So don't just say he picked up his gun and he walked to the door. Give a little bit more description. That's where research comes in. That's what you need to know, because that is going to set the readers apart. Because the readers are going to know if you say he picked up this weapon and it's not conducive to the time period. Somebody's going to read your book and somebody's going to say, well, in 1947 they didn't have that weapon, and then you're going to be like, okay, I didn't do my research. So make sure you're taking the time to research as much as possible you can. I know we can't do it all, but as much as you possibly can, especially if you're giving descriptions about something. Now, sometimes your research is just going back and reading past books. If you're writing a series of books, sometimes the research is just going back and reading those before I write the next one, so that you don't have those inaccuracies. Because if somebody loves your series of books, believe me, they're going to know if you change the eye color of a character, or if you change the, stature of the character, or if the character, he was shy in this book. Why is he bold and brave in this one? So you need to, if that's the case, then you need to have some kind of transition of why he's this way now, or why she's this way now. Because people will point those out. If you say, they were a hideous creature in one book, and then in the next book, they're this special being that looks amazing, people are going to find those out, and they're going to point them out to you, especially if they love your book. So you want to keep that consistent over the series of books. So that's another form of research there. With that, I would say I would keep a journal especially if you're giving specific descriptions about characters, places, things like that. Keep a journal and put that character's name at the top of the page, and then write down the things you wrote. Blue eyes, 5'10", muscular build, so that you can go to that journal at times and use that as your research. So you're like, oh wait, I just, in the first book I said this gentleman had blonde hair, and in this book I'm talking about him standing in the wind and his brown hair is blowing in the wind. So make sure that you're doing those things, because believe me, readers love to point those out. They love to find them. They're little Easter eggs for them. They're going to love them. They're going to point them out. And maybe you could even build a contest around that or something for your book with the research, so people can help you out in that situation and pointing them out to you. So authors, you're going to have to research. You're going to have to get your research hat on. You're going to have to go out and experience life. You're going to have put your life experiences into your books. That's what makes them great. That's what makes them exciting. When you can actually say what you felt like when you shot that gun, or what, the power that was involved, or the feelings that you could convey from yourself or from those other experts that you've experienced. That's what you need to put in your books. That's the kind of research you need to do. All the reading and writing, and yes, that's important too, but get those life experiences and put that kind of research in your book as well. All right, people, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with more videos. We're going to do them all the time. We're going to keep you going, moving forward. We're here to help you create better books. We're here to help you market your books. And we're here to keep you motivated, because sometimes that's the biggest and hardest part for authors, is to stay motivated to writing your book. So we're here. Again, use the email link above if you have any questions, anything you'd like me to address specifically. Again, I can't get to every email that I get, but I will try, and we will do videos on things that seem to be popular amongst the people that are sending emails in. Peace, have a great day, and I will talk to you again later.